I'm not digging it, it ain't the shit, you know? So, the critics out there can basically like kiss my ass straight up because they know nothing about what goes into this. They're just people with a 9 to 5 behind a fucking typewriter and a CD player listening to it and critiquing it. You know, you can't criticize something that somebody's working real hard on because that can like shatter their whole shit, you know? It might and critiquing it. You know, you can't criticize something that somebody's
Take us in, Doug.
Kyle? Okay.
Doug?
He's left.
Welcome
Well,
to
that's great.
episode 197 of the official podcast. I'm Doug from Who's Right. You're wondering why I'm here. It's because Andrew is not.
That's true. Thank you for filling in yet again. You're a lifesaver. I can message Doug, and I think the magic has died a little bit between us, though, hasn't it? Because initially, when I messaged you and asked if you wanted to come on the show, it was like, yeah, I'll cancel anything. I'll kill my wife. Don't worry, I'll be there. And now when I ask, it's like, I don't know, Kai, I'm going to have to check if there's anything fun on TV. Like
Are you just playing hard to get, Doug? You trying not to seem too clingy?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it was the last time or the time before I was in the crawl space in my basement, covered my own shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, as most of us are.
I couldn't get cleaned up fast enough to get up here and throw my headphones on. And this time it was like, well, you know, if I have to imagine that your listeners are probably tired of hearing my take on things.
Well, we've not really discussed any takes you've had. What's your?
Yeah.
I mean, you can hit us with.
What takes have you had?
Hit us with a very hot take if you like.
I can't necessarily give you a very hot take given the confines of what we're going to be talking about.
That's fair. So
I didn't get the memo. What are we talking about?
No
the confines of what we're talking about.
I've put an embargo on those two topics that none of us want to talk about: the fucking virus and the protests. I'm just so fucking sick of everyone talking about that. I'm actually very proud of the fact that we've not really talked about either of those two things in the past couple of weeks.
We're not really in a position where we should be talking about any of those things, really. This is a comedy podcast. It's meant to be. That's what people come here for, allegedly.
Dude, I'm burnt out. I really don't care anymore. Everywhere you look, I can't. They took my refuge from me, you guys. My safe haven, Instagram. I can't even go on Instagram to look at kittens without being reminded of this horse shit anymore. So I'm upset. I just want to give people something fun to listen to. People deserve escapism, goddammit.
Agreed.
That being said, Doug, is there
right.
non-political hot take that, you know...
What's your really fun hot take?
I've never called anything a hot take, but what's your guys' thoughts on scamming Amazon for reviews? And if you don't know what it is, I can explain it.
Yeah, can you elaborate a little bit? Because I've been thinking a lot about scams recently, just because how easy it must be to get a scam up and running in this day and age with Twitter and Facebook the way it is.
So from what I understand, what you do is you buy something on Amazon and you have to have your account set up as a reviewer, which is just checking a box. Take a couple pictures of it and leave it like a 1 or 2 star review. After doing it enough times, people will start reaching out to you and paying you to change your review to 5 stars. The company's will that's selling it.
Okay. So that's...
So on Amazon, are there trusted reviewers, like people who review enough and get enough like likes or Amazon upvotes or whatever on their reviews that they become like privileged reviewers and companies want to send them their products?
Yeah, yes.
Is that a thing?
That is a thing.
Okay.
But they're not noted as such. So you can't go on there and just identify people that, they were sent this product to review. I think that they are supposed to identify themselves as such in the review, but they don't always do that. So I'm curious. Do you think do do you guys suffer from like ethical blocks where you wouldn't do that because it's a shitty thing to do, or if it's free shit, you guys are good with it?
I'm not sure how it's a shitty thing.
If the company is making up for something, like if I buy, I don't know, a fucking toilet seat, and the first second that I sit down on it, it fucking breaks, and they're like, well, we saw your review, we're really sorry that happened, so let us reimburse you and send you a better one and a new one, then that's not really unethical. It's good. That's you running a good business.
So there's two things that you missed. One, it is unethical if you buy something with the intention of leaving a bad review, hoping that they reach out to you.
Okay, I see now what you mean.
And,
this isn't just them reaching out to random people. You, the reviewer, you're specifically seeking out companies to give them shit reviews, hoping they'll give you free shit. Okay,
and
so it's a complaint to the manager.
On the back end of it, going in and changing your review of that toilet seat to now be a 5-star review only because they gave you your $12 back.
Absolutely.
But you could just note that in the description of the review. You could just say, hey, this guy paid me $12.
Well, you can't do that, though. Then it doesn't look like a real review. It's a paid review.
Why not?
Yeah.
Then
It's
you
a
go
paid
back and say,
review.
give me another $12 and I'll take out that little note.
Okay, so I know where Jackson stands on the issue.
Money.
So that's the point of the business. The business is the victim here. A lot of things do that. Isn't it, for example, the Better Business Bureau? Isn't that literally just an organization where you can buy a rating? And if you don't pay them to give you a good rating, they will just give you the worst they have? There's a lot of organizations like that. Several review sites where if you have an online website and you have some sort of a service, it doesn't matter what you're selling, there's going to be review sites popping up telling, Yelp does this, right? They'll give a restaurant shitty reviews. They will undermine them in the search results unless you work with Yelp and pay them and maybe become a premium business member or some shit. They all do that crap.
That's the first I've heard of that. I didn't know Yelp did that.
Oh yeah, Louis Rossman, the repair guy, he has a lengthy video about this. Just that thing where Yelp will literally call you and ask you, do you want to improve your rating? If not, well, fuck you. We're only gonna show the negative reviews of your shop and your rating's gonna suffer unless you work with us. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So they're like the mafia.
I was just going to say, how is that any different than the mafia going door to door and getting insurance from
like
people?
protection
Protection
insurance.
rackets, baby.
So a lot of this pattern is everywhere, though. Remember last week or the week before we talked about, was it like Anita Sarkeesian? That lady that we talked about, where they bully companies
I haven't heard her name in so long.
Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about us or were you talking to Doug about it?
No, not to Doug, to you guys on the show. We talked about the tangentially and her name came up. But so Doug, this lady and a lot of organizations like hers, what they do, for instance, is they go up to a video game company. They say, hey, your game is racist. I'm going to tell everyone your game is racist. You're racist. I'm going to let everyone know you're racist. Unless you hire me, then I'll fix it for you. If you pay me, I will not tell people that you're racist. Get it? It's a shakedown.
I don't have an issue with that. I've gotten my last 3 jobs by telling my soon-to-be boss that they're fat phobic unless they hire me.
That's a good angle to work. Yeah.
That's fucking great, man. So, okay, let's play that angle a bit. Do you face fat phobia in real life? I mean, not from me. That's not fair. I mean, just in everyday your workplace. Just in your private life.
Other than, let's say, I know that when somebody like a cashier or waitress is hitting on me, I know they're just doing it for a tip. But other than that, no.
That's not fat phobia. That's just playing the game. What do you mean this girl's talking to me and doesn't want to fuck? God, she must hate me.
If it was fat phobia, they wouldn't even be hitting on you regardless of like their tip incentive.
Yeah, they'd be making fun of you.
It's not something they would even cross, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the answer to the question then is no. I've never had anybody. You know what? I guess maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I got into an argument at work with somebody, and one of his friends came up to me and said, I don't know if you didn't have enough to eat at lunch or what, and then went in to start yelling at me. So yes, I am a victim of fat phobia.
Okay, see, it doesn't sound like there's just that much out there, though, against you, which makes sense. I mean, you're American, right? You just you guys are what now?
That's pretty normal.
3/4 overweight. Almost all of you are kind of, flabby. So do you think that when we go on social media and there's just a bunch of women whining about fat phobia and it's just coded into our society and children are being taught fat phobia, do you think that just because they're women and they experience it more is just a bunch of fat bitches lying?
I think it's like anything else on social media, Kyle. When what you see on Instagram or Twitter is not happening in real life. It's just people looking to play victim and get some likes or thumbs up or whatever. You walk down the street, you don't have people get back in the house, Tubby, or
That's how it should be, though.
Can you imagine that beautiful world, though, Doug?
Doug can't even be let outside of his house. Just a fucking mailman's assaulting him.
So can you imagine what it would be like if the real life was what it looks like it is on Twitter?
God, it would be perfect.
So I know you guys don't listen to Who's Right, but I am an advocate for physical violence. I have been my entire life. I think it's a good way to solve issues. There needs to be more of it. And I think if real life was like Twitter, you would see that. Mm-hmm. Instead of this blocking people. You can't block people in real life.
You can't use physical violence to make yourself thinner, Doug.
Bullshit.
Well, you genuinely
burn a lot
could.
of calories when you're throwing punches and shit.
Actually, yeah. I didn't think of that. I didn't think about it. Yeah, you could. Okay. It does solve everything. You're right.
What do you
There's
think?
few things more effective than physical violence for losing calories.
I mean, how many fat boxers do you know? Exactly.
Butterbean.
But wouldn't you watch the shit out of that?
Oh, fuck yeah.
If everybody was built, if there was a boxing league where everybody was built just like me, they gas out after 4 punches, that would be fucking great.
I mean, you say that, but who the hell ever watches sumo? I mean, conceptually, it sounds
what I was
amazing,
thinking.
right? It's a bunch of fat people dressed like toddlers pushing each other around and tipping themselves over.
They don't have the mobility for anything interesting, though. They're just kind of pushing each other slowly
Yeah.
outside of a
They
circle.
need to punch.
That's not true. Have
It
you
is.
not
There's no
seen
punching.
sumo? Well, yeah, there's no punching because that's the traditional rules of sumo.
Yeah, they suck at punching.
No,
Yeah.
sumo is fucking cool. I actually went down a sumo rabbit hole not too long ago. There was like this really skinny sumo guy. He was awesome.
Yeah, so you have to be skinny to do anything awesome, then.
Well, yeah, maybe it is just because he was skinny. That was cool.
There
I
it
guess
is.
that's one way of looking at it.
Fat phobia in the wild.
Okay,
I hate
so
to see that.
other than the easy way out and saying eating or sleeping, what are things that fat people are good at that skinny people aren't? I'm not talking about
Taking up
I'm not
space.
talking about in shape. I'm talking about somebody that is very sickly looking, such as Jackson, compared to somebody that is disgusting looking, such as myself.
Yeah, it's they're two different contrasts.
Better. You can probably take a punch better. I mean, if you
Yes,
fall,
you absolutely could.
if you fall, there's more padding too. I would imagine.
Yeah, so like if me and Jackson were to get into a fist fight, like he could just run around.
You would eat me.
He could just
You would like destroy me.
I don't know that. I've never ever assumed that I could beat somebody based on their size because I don't know what their experience is. For instance,
Well, very little experience. Let's just say that. I think you're fine. I think you've got age, skills, and weight on me, so that's fine.
one of the worst
got it.
times that I've gotten my ass kicked was by somebody who is similar looking to you, except his skin is a little darker. He was a professional Thai fighter, and he
Whoa.
kicked.
Well, yeah, that's a bit different to me.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know what your skill set is, and I don't assume
Well,
that I can beat somebody just because of their size. It's ignorant.
I want to hear that story. So how come you got your ass kicked by a TIE fighter?
Left a bad review on his podcast.
So we were actually very friendly, and this was back when I was much younger and fought quite a bit. And he showed up where I was at. I was drinking, of course, and he asked me if I would be willing to go out in the back with him and go at it.
Oh, did you get the wrong idea, or where'd the fighting come into it?
No, that's what I meant. He wanted to fight. He knew that I was a good fighter, and he wanted to take a shot, basically. So I got up and we went out back, and he just kicked the snot out of me. He fucking ran up me like a fucking spider monkey and kneed me in the bottom of the fucking chin. It was like getting hit with a goddamn.
So
Go ahead.
were you drunker or more intoxicated than him?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I was feeling pretty good, but that did not come into play. He would have beaten me if he was drunk and I was sober. He was just more experienced and he hit harder.
Okay.
So did you have a
knew where to
reputation
hit.
as like the neighborhood's fighter white trash boy, where just people from all around the country came up and to see if they can like beat you?
So I wouldn't try to put it out there like that. But yeah, I was. I used to fight a lot, Kai. I've talked openly about that.
Yeah, I didn't know people came for your belt, like your Afro Ninja.
Well, if I did have a belt, I lost it that day. That's for sure. But as a consolation, when we were all done and I got myself cleaned up, we went inside and played Mortal Kombat 3, and I won.
Wait, so after he beat your ass,
Doesn't get much sadder.
You took him on in a video game?
Yeah, it was a different mindset, I guess you'd say. It wasn't like, oh, you beat me, so now we're mortal enemies. It was no different than what they do in UFC now when they hug each other. It was out of respect, you know.
Right. So yeah, you had a bit of respect for him. It was like a fighter's respect there.
So what do you think is your boxing record? Like how many victories and defeats?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know as well. Do you typically come out on top, or do you always get your ass beat?
I would say that it's probably split pretty evenly. When I lose spectacularly.
well, you still kept your head in the game.
And make no mistake about it. If I was to fight somebody now, I'd get my ass kicked. I'm obviously out of shape. I am sore in places that I didn't know existed constantly. It wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Would you be willing to like go for a round 2 against that fighter that we were just talking about?
Oh, fuck no. He ended up going into the special forces and
Jesus.
yeah.
You gave him the
You're lucky you
confidence.
didn't snap your neck. You would have ended up in the alleyway fucking with a snapped neck. Christ.
Wow.
It's funny. It's a funny mentality to have because, you know, there's a lot of people, which as I've gotten older, I understand you don't necessarily have to solve problems with violence. I get it. It's a stupid mentality. I was an unhappy person and I was just taking my aggression out on people. But
A lot of our conversations and such seem to end this way with you going, "I was an unhappy person."
yeah,
Are you happy now? Has
Yeah.
stuff changed?
I'm unhappy for different reasons.
Well,
Yeah, sitting behind a desk all day at work and working on doing projects and shit is not the pathway to happiness. I can fucking guarantee you that.
Well, I mean, I do love though that at the end of the day, sometimes when you do sit there, you get so bored. You and I start fucking around, and one of the things that we did end up doing was, so for those who don't know, Doug is technically an essential worker. I don't know why, but his essential work consists of putting his head together with mine, and we designed the ultimate potato chip. We should put that photo in the show notes. So, you use
What makes
This
it
is
the
what you get
ultimate
paid to
potato
do.
chip?
Doug was using his
So-
3D modeling and physics simulation software to model the ultimate potato chip. Spoiler alert, it looks like a fucking cardboard box.
So what was the logic behind it good though?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I could find that photo, that would be awesome.
And what was the logic?
The ultimate potato chip,
so-
Jackson.
So
Oh yeah, I know. What makes an ultimate potato chip? That's what I'm asking.
I was on this tear where I was eating some kind of dip. I don't remember what it was. Green onion dip or something with Ruffles potato chips. And I learned that if I started stacking the grains of the chips perpendicular to each other, I could scoop up a lot more dip.
You're a genius.
This is
Yeah,
way too technical
it's
for them,
It's not to
Doug.
do with like the shape of flavor or anything. You're just trying to
Doug, do you still
create the
have that?
perfect like dipping.
Do you still have that diagram
I-
render that you sent me?
No, I don't think I do.
Damn it! You should have fucking
Why? It
patented that.
sounded like a great
It's lost to
idea.
the ages.
So it was more about the structural integrity of the chip as opposed to the flavor of the chip.
Wait, how the fuck do you like quantify the structural integrity of the chip? Did you get into like the DNA molecules of the chip? Like, how do you change the structure of that?
So I when I modeled it, I created as a light resin with the trying to get as close as I could to the properties of a fried potato. But then you can just run simulations on it, change the structure, and then run more simulations.
Sounds like the worst college thesis.
Bullshit it is.
Sounds like a pretty decent college thesis to me.
Yeah, what the fuck? I cannot find it, and it's actually upsetting me now. I was really looking forward to showing people that thing. I was proud of our progress that we had made. In the meantime, though, Charlie, you've been using a service lately. Tell us about it.
Fiverr? We talking about Fiverr out here?
Yes, you can fight fighters, you can fight 3D designers if you needed your own potato chip model. To tell us.
Yeah, there's really nothing you can't find on Fiverr, to be honest. There's something for everyone there. And it's all just right at your fingertips. It's beautiful. No matter what your project is, you can find someone to help get in there with it, have some experience, and really just take it to the next level where you're not, finding someone that you can't trust. You can always find what you're looking for. Jackson, take it away.
So yeah, you can check out Fiverr at fiverr.com. That's fiverr.com, and receive 10% off your first order by using our code official. So yeah, find all the digital services you ever need in one place at Fiverr, fiverr.com. Code official. That's fiverr.com, code official. Head on over there and find the people you're looking for. It's not a dating service, but a professional person.
Well,
if you're looking for a professional person or a freelancer, go to Fiverr.
You can also find girls who will play video games with you in exchange for money.
That is also something you could find on Fiverr, should you choose to want that.
Doug.
Noted. I'm looking now.
Do you play a lot of games these days, Doug?
I don't. I was looking at the PS5 trying to decide if I'm going to go that route or not, but I typically just don't have the time. I want to. I just don't have the time.
Too busy with potato chips?
Well, that's at work. That's different.
Oh, that makes sense then. Yeah, fair. That's fair.
How was your experience on Monday, man? So Doug and I decided we were gonna try to do OMAD again, 1 meal a day. We buckled after what was it, Doug? 2 days? On Tuesday, we decided, fuck it, let's just do the regular 16 hours by 8 hours intermittent fasting. And you told me that the first day was so fucking bad you couldn't focus on anything at work.
Oh fuck! It was horrible. I was sitting there trying to get something done, and I just kept thinking about food. I really would go for a pizza right now. I could have some fried chicken right now. And it's just nonstop. I'm sitting here trying to write a report for the board of directors, and all I'm thinking about is, let's see, I could have this chicken on this sandwich. I would put so much tomato on there.
Your report just turned out to be fucking. You just wrote a recipe.
Yeah, it looks like a fucking menu when I'm done.
The way God intended, man.
And the funny thing, when me and Kaya do this stupid shit, it's we do our best to try to shame each other into making poor decisions. And then we lock into a commitment with each other that we're going to follow through on this OMAD for 30 days. And then we spend the rest of the time trying to get the other one to buckle just so we don't have to.
No,
so we start.
You don't want to be the first to, you don't want to be the one who threw in the towel. So each one of us is always just trying to get the other one to say, I quit, so I can just guilt-free run to the fridge. But, well, we did it once for 30 days. None of us buckled. That worked, and I think you lost some weight. I felt better, for sure. But
then why'd you go back?
I don't know.
Because eating is eating, man.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah. It's difficult when you're not, even doing it for a month, that still does not turn it from this one bet into a lifestyle. Even over the period of 30 days, it's still a very radical thing to suddenly change in your life, and it's just difficult to stick with it. You tried, Jackson.
Don't you get bored of eating ridiculously fatty and sugary food? I know it's an addiction, but if you were having fried chicken every day, I feel like within the first maybe 5 days, I would just be done with it and would not want to have it again for the next 6 months. Food has to be spaced out for me. Special food or fatty food or whatever has to be spaced out for me to still enjoy it. Does that not happen for you? Doug, could you eat KFC every single day?
No, it's no different for a fat man than it is for a skinny man, Jackson. We still have taste buds. You get bored with shit for sure. I think the key difference though is when to get into the same shape that I'm in, you're not treating food as something that's needed to survive. You're treating it as a crutch. So, you eat because you need calories and you need nutrients. I eat because I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm bored or a reward, right?
Regardless of the mood.
So comfort. Food is your comfort.
Reward, punishment.
I'm just giving an example. Yeah, I think that people eat for different reasons, and when you find yourself taking in an enormous amount of calories, more calories than you burn, you find yourself unable to fight anymore.
Yeah, to be fair though, like food addiction, this came up before, I don't know in what episode, but food addiction is different from all the other addictions because there's no way for you to quit cold turkey and not eat at all. It's like you have to eat something.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough one.
Yeah, it's not like, imagine if you had to use a little bit of heroin every day, but you just can't use too much. That's what fasting is like for a fat person, is if they're trying to drop the weight. Can't just go a whole day or a whole week and not eat anything. So Doug, I asked you this and you just ignored it as one of my fat jokes that I make throughout the day, but have you ever used their influence at your company to decide what goes into the vending machine? Or to get the vending machine moved closer to your office?
Yeah, it's surprising I didn't take that question seriously, isn't it?
Yeah, it's such a good question, too, to really think about, because you could do that if you wanted to, I imagine.
I think that they would probably know that there's ulterior motives if I was to suggest, hey, the vending machines downstairs in the cafe? I think it would be better suited if we brought them upstairs right outside my office.
You could be the cool boss that just wants to make
productivity.
Yeah, he wants to make sure everyone's got plenty of energy with nice, I don't know, whatever, Doritos or whatever you stack in there.
What do you think?
And all it is honey buns. There's nothing else in there now. Sorry, that's what I've got to do.
A hero. What a sacrifice.
So honestly, what do you think is the most, again, for those who don't know, Doug is at a pretty respectable position in his company. What do you think is the most shameless thing you could possibly get away with using your influence for in terms of just getting food within your reach?
Oh.
Like a chocolate
Probably
fountain?
I would no
private chef.
I was going to go a different route. I was going to say probably in making a hiring decision for ulterior motives, if that was the case.
Oh, okay.
You
You're eat a person?
No.
You hire someone that's a good cook.
Okay, you got me wrong. I meant in terms, how the fuck would hiring the wrong person get you more food? Were you thinking of hiring a chef?
So Kai,
You're just smuggling Kit Kats.
you asked a question and it wasn't necessarily a food related question, or I didn't take it as such.
No, I said in terms of getting food closer to your, food related. What's the most influence? Can you swing your weight around, so to speak, to, I don't know, write all Chip's expenses off as business expenses?
You're being ludicrous. I think what I could probably do.
You've gone too far, Kyle.
It's impossible. No one's ever wrote those off. I've tried.
I think what I could probably do is get some catering brought in under false pretenses just to get some free donuts or something.
Okay, that's still pretty impressive. I wish I could do that. Can I do that on the official podcast? Money.
Not on the company dime.
Not unless Doug is here.
On that note, I did find the diagram that Doug rendered. Jackson, if you want to put this up on screen, otherwise everyone can also go to our Patreon chat, our Patreon Discord, and see this in the chat. Let me see.
This doesn't look like a chip.
That's because it's a fucking new design.
Yeah,
negative Nancy.
It doesn't look edible. What are you talking about?
It actually looks like a wall. It just, it looks like
you're creating a structure.
A piece of architecture, perhaps? It's like a raft. This looks like something that Jesus Christ was pushed on when he was a baby.
A cardboard box.
That's what I said, but it looks like something that would not buckle under the weight of dip.
Are you even proficient at your job, Doug? This does not look like a chip at all.
All right, so I challenge you to design a better chip then, Jackson. And you can't use fucking Legos.
I think I could. I'll Okay, well that's uncalled for.
Well,
I could scribble on a piece of paper and do better than this. You've created a cardboard box.
What I'm curious
Jesus.
about, Jackson, is why you have so much animosity towards me. Did an older fat man do something to you when you were younger?
Potentially, maybe it's all like subconscious.
Jackson, I don't give a
don't
shit of what my chips look like if they taste good, and if I don't have to do that, like, you know, the frail, oh no, is it gonna break?
If you
Is
eat
it not
Doug's
gonna
chips,
break?
it's gonna taste like fucking cardboard.
well, it
don't
doesn't
know that.
necessarily have to taste like cardboard just because it looks like it.
Yeah, this is just a baseline. First of all, Jackson, you can still sprinkle all the Cheeto dust on this as you want and flavor it as much as you want. This is just a baseline.
In all the
foundation,
technical details
potato
on this picture
foundation.
that Doug has sent, I'm not seeing any descriptions of like flavor or ingredients.
Because flavor, one, I'm not a flavorologist, Jackson. Flavors are added after the
Yes.
initial making of the chip. They're just sprinkled
after the
in.
initial part.
Jackson,
it's going
this
to go
is-
to the taste department.
Doug is like a chips architect. What you want is an interior designer for the flavor afterwards, after the house is built, after the chips is built, after it's manufactured perfectly to these specifications, which are patented under the official entity from this point on. Sorry, Doug.
Jackson, do you think that the same guy that came up with the Pringle shape is also the one that said, I want to have a waffles and chicken flavor?
What the fuck is a
obviously
waffles and
not.
chicken
That's
flavor?
ridiculous.
Okay,
Doug.
same thing. This is the
No,
new
not
Pringles
the same
flavor.
thing. You said you designed the most delicious and the
Did
best
not. No, I didn't.
potato.
I
take it-
specifically said
go
the
back in the
structure-
recording.
No.
I specifically said the structural integrity of the chip.
To be fair, in Doug's defense, he said the ultimate chip. He never mentioned flavor.
Well, all right,
That sucks
all right,
shit.
okay. Well, Ultimate Chip's still fucking kind of like I would think flavor has a big part to do with the Ultimate
But
Chip.
Jackson,
So would I.
we specifically did mention the bullet point though that it has what makes the ultimate chip the most ultimate chip is dippability. So it has to be dipped in something, and the flavor then depends on the dip mostly.
Well, if you want to get the best dip, go get a fucking spoon. It's already been designed.
disgusting.
You're designing a chip.
Yeah.
That was one of the dumbest things I've heard, Jackson. Are you kidding me?
What about a
spoon?
shovel? I'm just saying there's plenty of dippable things out there. You haven't designed anything.
Jesus Christ, you are such a pain in the ass.
You're a fraud, Doug. You're a fraud.
You took something that is a shitty premise to a conversation and strung it out over the course of 20 minutes in hopes that, you know, it's not like I've made $1 million off of my new chip design. It was a throwaway joke between two people who became public.
Well, you brought it into the official domain, and then we have to talk about
I
it.
did not. Your co-host
Someone did. I didn't do it.
Someone did. Why don't we just say Kaya?
It's like Voldemort's name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
let's
say
not point
Kaya out
fingers.
loud.
I'm just proud of it. Fuck you.
God, so fucking dumb.
You guys are being downers.
You didn't design it.
Jesus Christ.
If you don't want to invest,
You
I
are
don't
an
give a shit.
unhappy individual.
Doug and I are now looking for angel investors. If you don't want to put your money on this train, that's on you. I
And
actually asked,
also somebody that understands flavoring of potato chips after manufacturing.
That would be
No one's going
very
to invest
important.
in this product if you can't describe the taste.
You've been watching too much Dragon's Den, Jackson. Someone would absolutely invest
What?
in this like piece
No,
of
they
wood.
wouldn't.
Yes, they would.
How much? Well, what percentage of your company are you giving away, and for how much?
So before this conversation, I would have said $50 for 100% of the company.
Just sell it, yeah.
yeah, here's this fucking JPEG. Here you go, $50. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Something chips related, I'm sure though. Fuck me.
So have you guys tried those really thick chips? I don't know what brand they are, but they are, in my mind, if you have a potato chip standard size, it's good. And then if you have one triple the size, it should be triple as good. That's not how it is in reality. I don't know if you've tried those chips or not, but they're like double baked, fried something or other.
Double.
I haven't tried those, no, but
Are they like
so-
are they a brand or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know that they're thicker than, it's like eating a half a potato, except with some sour cream and onion flavoring on it.
no, I haven't seen those. But
No.
when I do
I've
eat
not
I've always
something,
preferred thinner chips.
when I eat something like Pringles, where they are made to match and be stacked, I do stack them like a motherfucker. I'd eat the whole can in one bite if I could, like a goddamn hammerhead shark. That's what my cheeks would look like. No, just me.
Yeah, that's them in the chat that I was talking about.
It's Ruffles.
Kyle, when
Ruffles aren't like turbo sized or anything. They're kind of just normal size. Those are old.
no, the double crunch.
I haven't heard of Double Crunch, to be fair.
So Kyle, when you eat Pringles, do you do that thing where you put them in your mouth so that you got one in you got the top part of the chip in your upper lip and the bottom part of the chip in your lower lip, and then you wear it like a mouthpiece?
What? Wait.
Are you 5? You play with your food like that?
That's just me then? Okay.
Absolutely just you.
Like a retainer? I'm confused as to how that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you sketch that up in your program? We need visual proof.
I think that's probably a good marketing scheme for fat people. It's like a fat person retainer.
Blocks the food from coming in. Yeah. But it tastes good while it does it. You're like licking the inside of the chip.
Yeah, no. I know I'm not the only person that does that. It fits too perfectly for me to be the only one that's discovered it.
I'm gonna try.
You truly are a visionary, Doug.
But I'm not sure as to. I might send you some selfies later. Like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Is this? No. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie, tell us about Raycon.
I use Raycon for pretty much any time I'm active, like working out or anything like that. They're wireless earbuds. It's the same amazing like sound from all the other premium brands, but at half the price. It's just an extremely great pair of wireless earbuds. So I think it's something super important when you're active to have something that's not like intruding on your ability to stay active, and like the wires dangling and getting like tangled and shit like that is always just a hassle. So I really do think wireless earbuds, I just do think they're really important for when you're active like that. So I highly recommend them. I've been using Raycon for about a year now almost, and I just really like them. I think they're great.
So the newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, they're the best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. So now's the time to get the latest and greatest from Raycon. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/OP. Those are the letters OP. That's buyraycon.com/OP for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/OP. Like I said, we recommend those Everyday E25 earbuds. So go check them out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to go check them out. I've got a pair of wireless earbuds that I have that's not that brand. And every time I'm out mowing, my left one just falls out for no fucking reason. It's like my ears are different sizes.
It's fucking terrible,
That
man.
won't happen with Raycon, so go get Raycon.
Do you have like, what do they call it, cauliflower ear from your years of fighting?
No, typically that's from wrestling.
Yeah, that's just from like headlocks and shit. They grind the ear down.
I thought it was from like the
What does that even-
head guards or whatever they're called.
How does that even happen? I thought that's like if you take repeated blows to the ear and the cartilage like comes apart or something.
No, I'm pretty sure it's from like headlocks, because like when you're getting headlocked in the WWE, you're getting like rustled around in there, so it's just a lot of friction on your ear, and I imagine like the heat melts it like plastic.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure you get it a lot from rugby as well, like in scrums and such.
Yeah, pretty much anything where I think there's a lot of friction, like skin on skin shit like that, I think is what causes it. I don't know. I'm not a WWE wrestling injury scientist or anything, but that's what I'd guess.
Going back to previous conversation, though, that is a very good indicator that you're getting ready to get your ass whooped. If you start getting into an altercation with somebody, always look at their ears first.
Okay, just examine
Is it
their
like-
ears.
I'm just gonna try and
Get
avoid
up
the
real
fight.
close.
Yeah, I just skip that step.
No,
Why don't you just be blunt and direct and go, hey, are you good at fighting? This will determine if I want to fight or not.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I never thought of that.
Yeah, why don't you just ask?
so is it like,
He was shy.
you know how there's supposedly some formulas you can run on a man, like his ear to nose size ratio or some shit, and you can determine his dick size? Is that like with fighting too? You look at his ears and you can tell how many years he has under his belt?
So you can definitely tell what type of experience he has. If somebody is, have you ever seen anybody with cauliflower ear that couldn't kick your ass?
That's fair.
Yeah, I have. I've seen like scrawny, like with rugby, like scrawny wingers and such,
Isn't
who still have cauliflower
rugby
ears.
still?
And you think you could kick their ass?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I could kick their ass. I think you could kick their ass, Doug, for me, while I stand in the back waving my little white flag.
So, you know, based on our history together, Jackson, that there is, as of right now, there is no chance of me standing between you and anybody.
I don't believe that. I think you're a big softie. I think you protect me.
Yeah, I think mama bear instincts would kick in. If you saw Jackson getting slapped around, you'd be like, fuck, I gotta do something.
And then you come, I'd be injured and you'd come over and hold me and rock me back and forth.
Oh, I'd carry you away like on The Bodyguard.
Yeah, that's good enough for me.
That's
I'll take
pretty
anything
good.
I can get, Doug.
That's sweet. You did
I mean,
mention
that's just
that when you're out
just
in
my
the
dream.
yard doing mowing the lawn or whatever with your headphones. So I think from the last time that you were on here, we owe you an apology because the last time we had you on, we called you a redneck handful of times.
Yeah.
And
we did.
since then, there's, some information has been revealed to me by the Doug, and I don't know how much of it you want to be public, but Doug is
Probably
honestly...
none. What the fuck are we talking about?
I'm just saying that, with all the things that I know
Just
about
do
you
it.
since then, is that you are probably the least rednecky out of us all, and I don't know how much of your very fragile, toxic masculinity you'd like me to tear down right now.
Wait, even more redneck than me? I mean, less redneck than me?
Probably, so do you want to tell them about your flower bed, Doug?
Oh, Doug.
That's so cute, Doug.
So I'll tell it the way that I told Kaya.
Okay.
When
I got these fucking flowers in my bed, Kai. I fucking hate them, but I love them.
Okay, so when I was younger, my dad, who is also the one that instilled this need to punch people in the face, I was, I don't know, maybe 17 or so. He ended up pulling me out in the front yard and said, "Hey, Doug, I want you to come out and look at something." And
Beats your ass.
it was a
Just pummels you into the flower bed. That's where your love for flowers came from.
The cushion the blow, yeah.
okay. So I'll let you guys decide which story you want to hear. Do you want to hear
no,
the story? No, hold on.
You tell it.
We can do them both, but in which order? So the time that my dad took me out in the front yard and showed me his roses that were blooming, or the time that my dad came in and grabbed me by the neck and lifted me up? Which one do you want to hear?
Let's start with the roses.
Yeah, I wanna start with a nice feeling.
Okay, so he took me out in the yard and he was very proud of these roses that he had planted. And as I told Kaya, that day I kind of lost, I don't know why, but I lost respect for him. Like he was soft. It was something that I'd never experienced is my dad showing me a side of him like that. It was always a much more masculine. So fast forward to this year, I have started planting roses and I'm all proud of them. Like when they come up and start blooming and the buds and all that shit, it's a super gay story. That's what Coyote's trying to get me to say is I am emasculating.
What?
Then don't you see how this is a very...
I don't think there's anything wrong with.
It's a very redeeming
Caring for
arc.
flowers,
You used
Doug.
to... You were raised by this violent drunk, presumably. He used to just fight around the neighborhood just like you. One day he shows you a rose bed, you lose respect for him, and now all these decades later, you have your own flowers.
Continuing in his footsteps.
So speaking of story arcs, that same man, the first time that I beat him in arm wrestling was one of the worst days of my life. I can remember the look on his face, like, okay, so this changes things now. So now my son, who he's probably 6'4", getting close to 300 pounds, but he's a professional power lifter.
Wow.
Holy shit.
He won't arm wrestle me because he knows that story about the shift between me and my dad when that happened. So he doesn't want to do that to me, which I think is respectable, even though I stopped somebody from sucking his dick.
Does he know that you play with flowers? 'Cause it sounds like it's gonna happen anyway, Doug.
So I don't want him to know that part of me.
Play with
Can't
flowers.
see the
I
nice
like the
part of
wording,
Doug.
by the way. So hang on, I want to... So what happens when you arm wrestled your dad? How old were you, first of all?
Probably 21 or 22.
Okay, so his problem was that you had finally outgrown him, and he no longer could dominate you.
So we used to arm wrestle maybe once every 6 months or so, depending on how the conversation would come up. And I came in, sat down at the kitchen table and said, all right, I think I can get you this time. And I did. And it was fucking heartbreaking. I can't put it into words. I can't articulate it, how it felt, but yeah, it wasn't a good feeling.
Pussy. If I was that dad, or if I was your dad, Doug, I would have been proud of you. Wouldn't you have been proud of your son if he beat you at arm wrestling?
No.
Why not? It's like a your bloodline's strong, Doug. It continues on with big muscles.
Yeah, this ain't fucking Game of Thrones, man. It's real life.
Yeah, I think a healthy parent-son relationship is like.
What about me makes you think that I had a healthy relationship with anybody ever?
Yeah, true. The only thing you got a healthy relationship with is your roses.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
so what if you're doing your son a
flower bed.
disservice though? Because one day you're gonna die, and what if your son at your funeral is just full of self-doubt? He'll never know if he could have won.
Well,
Good.
You can arm wrestle.
I'm pretty sure if he's 6'4", 300 pounds, I'm pretty sure we can just go off stats here and say he'd probably beat Doug's ass in arm wrestling.
There's gonna be just this little voice in his head telling him that he just wasn't good enough, that he never found out if he was really the top dog in the house. And the voice is gonna get louder.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. It's something he's gonna have to learn to wrestle with. So
What a father.
Interesting.
It's a good lesson.
Is I just talked to him the other day, and he is going to get tested. He's signing up to be a police officer.
Best time.
What's that?
The best time.
Yeah, no time like this to be a cop. Best of luck to him. Get him a bulletproof vest if you can. So?
Yeah, was that story going anywhere? Were you bragging about your son being a cop?
So do you really think I bring that up to be bragging?
I don't know. I don't know where it was going. He just paid it off.
Isn't there something like, pride in your son? I would think. I don't know. I feel like if I had a kid, I'd probably brag about good things they do.
So I figured,
that's what I mean.
I figured on the way that this show works is me talking to three other people that I could say something and somebody would jump in and say, "Oh, why would he do?"
What the fuck am I meant to say about your son being a cop?
Oh wow, Doug, why do you think he's doing that?
It's not important at this point. Kaya, do you remember when you and I talked a couple weeks ago about the last time I was on, and I said I couldn't figure out why Jackson has so much animosity towards me?
You said it this episode too, actually.
Right. But I'm just bringing it up again because I think it'd be now as good a time as any time to have that conversation.
Okay.
What is your fucking problem, Jackson?
Doug, calm down. It's a comedy show, man. Take it easy.
No, I want fucking answers, and I want them now.
I just think you're.
I want it too.
Yeah.
I just think what you have done to your son is disgusting.
What?
What? I didn't fuck him. What the fuck do you mean it was disgusting?
Your refusal to show your sensitive side is repulsive, is what Jackson's saying.
Give him a bouquet of flowers and apologize.
Or you could.
So only then will I accept you.
Can I do the other artistic and somewhat romantic, soft-hearted thing you do, Doug, as a hobby?
Oh, please, yes. Give us more.
I'm curious to see where this goes. Sure, let's talk about it.
Doug is a painter. He paints guys for fun, as a hobby. And I've seen his paintings.
Pretty manly, unless it's like.
Well, he paints flowers and fences,
that
but
kind of painting.
It's still very, not really, you wouldn't expect Popeye the drunk sailor to be painting, right? So all in all.
From the pieces you've seen, what's probably his finest work?
What is his finest work? I don't know. They're all kind of good. I'm not really an art critic,
Really?
so I wouldn't know.
Really?
How the fuck would I know? I'm not an art critic.
Well, yeah, but you can obviously tell when art is shit. Like, is Doug doing splatter painting where he's like, I don't know, eating the paint and spitting it onto the canvas? Or
Doug, you describe it. It's not splatter modern art shit. It's actual. You can make out what it is.
Nice.
No, this is such a fucking gay conversation that I wasn't expecting on having.
Doug is so awkward now.
You're the one doing it.
See, this is the problem.
Why do you?
We need to move past
Can
this.
I ask, why do you paint why do you paint and why do you like grow flowers and stuff, knowing that you personally think that it's gay to do that?
No, so I don't think that it's gay to paint. I don't think that it's gay to plant flowers. I think that I have a mentality that I have lived with my entire life, that if you want to do something and the majority of society doesn't think that it's manly, then you need to keep it to yourself. And I'm learning that that's not the case. If somebody doesn't like that I paint, go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. I'm a grown man, and if I'm going to fucking paint, I'm going to paint. I don't care what you think. I also tried my hand at knitting and crocheting, but I just suck at it, so I don't do it anymore.
No, that was a bit too far.
To my credit, I was very I was very accepting of your alternative lifestyle of you painting and, playing with flowers. I've always been supportive.
Yeah, so, yeah, and that's why I've decided to come out as an avid painter.
as a botanist.
I'm sure that each and every one of you do something, and I'm not talking about your sexual depravity or anything. You do something that you think the majority of, let's say, your listeners would find odd that you do.
Yeah, and guess what, Doug? That's the topic of nearly every fucking episode is my Lego and Star Wars and all that kind of embarrassing shit.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but so Legos is much different than anything else.
It's not in the eyes of the general public. Yeah, believe me.
Legos are fruity. I think we can all agree on that.
You've got to own it. You don't give it the power over you, Doug. Own your gardening and painting. Do it.
So I'm definitely not looking for your approval, Jackson.
Good, I wasn't going to give that. I wouldn't play with flowers.
Do you own any plants, Jackson?
No. Yeah, I do actually.
Jackson used to own those fish. Remember when Jackson condemned that entire aquarium to die?
Oh yeah.
Don't say that. I never once threatened those fish with any kind of bodily harm.
You fucking turned the air off
for an hour. That's more than
you were
that's fine. They didn't even notice.
Okay, Jackson, let's turn the air off to your room for an hour. How would you like that?
That's not how it works. They had oxygen tanks pretty much. They had so much oxygen in there.
Were you cleaning the tanks or something, Jackson?
No, he did it for the episodes. He turned off the aquarium because he didn't like how it sounded.
No, I didn't. I was fine with how it sounded. People were complaining that they could hear it in the background and such.
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, do you guys think your answer to this is very important in where this conversation goes? Do you think that there is such a thing as, say, cruelty to fish, the same as cats and dogs?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah,
they're sentient.
Okay, then
what,
like I said,
do you know it?
Oh, I'm. It's not relevant anymore. Move on.
He's changed his opinion, Jackson.
So none of you. I personally don't like fishing. Do you guys fish at all?
No, I haven't.
I think it's boring.
Yeah, I fished when I was like a kid a long time ago.
I've never tried
catch
it.
And release stuff, but it wasn't very fun.
You've never tried it, Kyle?
No, I might like it if it's nice and idyllic.
It's boring.
I personally think fishing is fucking stupid. I've never been a fan of it. I also don't personally think that hunting is spectacular.
Mm.
No, that shit sucks.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's literally for food and you're providing for yourself, then I get it. For sports, not so much.
What if you're hunting for great underwear?
Doug, did you read the document I sent you?
I did.
Tell us about Mac Weldon, Doug.
I would be just as awkward about it as you guys are, but
go.
Did you know you could create an account at the Weldon Blue Loyalty Program, and you can sign up for free?
Okay. How about it? What about it?
If you go on there and create the account and place an order, you'll never pay shipping from them again. And once you purchase $200 worth of products from Mac Weldon, not only will you continue to receive free shipping, but you will also start saving 20% on every order you make for the next year.
Holy shit, actually, that's it. That is good. Okay, that's Mac Weldon, Doug?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
MACKWELDON.
.com. And then you enter what promo code, Doug?
OP.
That's right. For what? Is this how your business presentations go? Come on, you're a businessman. Present something.
No, I fucking prepared.
Like a hostage situation.
Nobody ever, in the history of ever, has ever brought me into a meeting in 2 hours and said, "Okay, propose our project for us. Go."
Doug, I gotta say, I'm disappointed.
I was expecting a lot more from an industry professional.
So do you want me to come off as sincere or insincere? Because if I come off as sincere, then you'll never have these guys again.
Oh.
I want to do your fucking job, Doug. Talk about Mac Weldon.
Yeah, what do we pay you for at this company?
So, around the table, everybody, tell me what kind of underwear you're wearing right now.
Mac Weldon.
Mac Weldon.
Doug, I see you didn't read the copy. It says, don't even mention underwear.
No, that's not what it says. It says, don't mention undie.
That's true.
He's got you on the undie technicality.
It's not turning into a debate.
Has worked. Well, Mac Weldon's a lot more
That's
than
what they pay for.
Mac Weldon's a lot more than underwear, though, boys. Socks, shirts, underhoods, hoodies, sweatpants. Pretty much anything you can imagine you can find on Mac Weldon. It's got a robust catalog of all kinds of beautiful wear that you can find and get 20% off on at macweldon.com using promo code OP. It's simple, easy to use, quick. It's just the optimal way of shopping.
They just create the most comfortable devices to put on your body that you could even imagine. They believe in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping, and boy does it show. So please visit macweldon.com and enter promo code OP for 20% off your first order. That's macweldon.com and enter code OP. Go check them out. They really do create some of the best stuff you can put on your body.
See, Doug, that wasn't so hard.
When you guys get into it, you sound really good doing it.
Thank you.
All we needed was you to lead us there.
Now I really want to hear that story about your dad grabbing you by the neck and doing what exactly?
So I was
Naked.
in a place called Hazard, Kentucky.
Okay.
And let me rephrase that. So I was in a place called Harlan, Kentucky, drinking with my dad and a guy who was what they call a Kentucky colonel, I think. His name is Toby.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on the porch and my dad walked up for no reason out of the blue and said, "What do you do when somebody does this to you?" And he used both hands, grabbed me by the throat, and lifted me up out of the chair.
Well, what did you do?
Wow, yeah, fucking Homer Simpsoned by your dad. That's pretty wild. Weren't you like in good shape at this point? Because this is a long time ago, right?
Yes, I was in good shape at the time. Yeah. And what I did was take my hands, go up over my, go up and around and try to slam his hands down. And he throttled me even harder and said, "That's not what you do."
What do you do?
You're apparently the only correct answer from my dad would have been to take my
Give him
hands
compliments?
as if you're going to pray. So it'd come up underneath and then shoot them straight up, because then if your arms force their arms apart.
That's fair.
Oh, right. So this was an actual learning moment.
Yeah. And I've remembered it ever since.
So if your dad ever comes back and tries to pick you up, you know exactly how to counteract it.
Doug goes into his karate stance like the prey.
He like starts grabbing your ass. What do you do here? Who do you tell?
What do you do when I have 3 knuckles inside of you?
Tell mommy? No, that's not what you do.
Remember how I told you to put your hands together and pray? Do that again.
But hold this as he's unzipping.
Ooh.
What?
Disgusting.
That's Doug's dad you're talking about.
Show some
Have a bit of
respect.
Okay, sorry. What? Is he dead by now, Doug?
No.
Oh. I don't know why I assumed he was. He's not dead? You're
No.
not doing your job. So you would have finished the job by now.
So do you think you
No,
could?
we actually get along very well.
Okay. Do you think you could kick his ass though?
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah, he's got to be like frail and old by now, right? Like he's whittled. He's out of prime shape. This is Doug's time.
Yeah, should fucking
No,
grab him
he
by
is
the throat.
he is way past his prime, and I'm only way past my prime.
All right. Doug, sorry. Charlie, do you want to read one of your stories to Doug?
Well, we exhausted the Moon Ninja saga. I still have plenty of Nutty Noodle Man if we want that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's give people what they want.
Okay. I've recently moved the folder. I need to see what I did with that.
So, Doug, Charlie used to be a prolific author when he was young, like 5 or 6 or something. And we've been doing readings of his work. And you're going to be treated to one of his mainline stories, his prime intellectual property, Nutty Noodle Man. If you can find it.
Alright, I found it.
That's another thing, by the way, Doug. You are a writer, right? You write.
Jesus, what don't you do, Doug?
Hang on, can we switch it up?
I've written
Doug, do you have a story you'd like to read at all? I know I'm kind of jumping on you, but if you're not prepared, it's cool.
it would probably take me a minute to pull it up.
That's okay. We'll stall while you pull it up if you're down to read it. Jackson, Charlie, have you guys watched the PlayStation thing stream?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. We watched it together, actually. I'm going to go against the grain here and say I quite like the PlayStation 5 design.
I thought the design was fine.
Yeah, but everyone seems to hate it from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Because of the asymmetrical design. You see like the thick ass on it down the bottom.
Oh yeah, like a pregnant
where the
belly.
disc drive is.
Who gives a shit though? You don't even fucking see.
Yeah.
Who the hell looks at their console while they're playing? Who
that's-
cares? I don't care if it looks like
Yeah.
a fucking dead mule, as long as it's good. But the games themselves, I really like the one with the cat, the Cyberpunk or whatever it's called.
Stray?
Yeah, that one. That
Yeah.
was adorable. Little cat with a backpack.
There was also one that was super impressive to me. It was the one with it was like the anime kind of looking one, or the Pixar movie looking one. I mean,
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
did you see that?
Yeah, I
forgot
know
it's
what you're
called.
talking about.
no,
I
I,
thought that
don't
looked-
remember.
Genuinely like a Pixar movie in gameplay. It looked great. And then there was also Kena, the Bridge of Spirits, and then Ratchet and Clank also looked super impressive from like a technological standpoint. Or the quick loading and shit that they can do now, Kaya, with
Yeah,
their SSD.
yeah. I'm hoping
pretty,
that finally games won't take like 10 minutes to load. Dude, that shit fucking ruins games, man. If it takes your game to load, if it takes that long, just don't release it at that point. Me and my friends wanted to play Divinity Original Sin, but on the Switch, it takes literally 3 minutes. I measured. It takes anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes to load anything. And it's just too long. At that point, I don't want to play anymore. That's not worth it. I'm loading more than I'm playing. Don't release it.
The worst one I saw was Ark Survival Evolved, that dinosaur sandbox game.
Yeah.
On Switch, takes 4 minutes and 50 seconds to load when you click new game.
Jesus.
Still?
I don't know how you released that. No, but this was when I first saw it back in like probably last year when it came out on Switch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that game died hard. And yesterday they had the GameSpot
Did it?
stream or something, Game Awards something. PC Gamer.
Don't know about that one.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like some nerdy shit, though.
PC Gaming
PC
Show.
gaming show apparently.
Yeah,
according
that
to
one.
Billy.
Apparently that one was awful too. Hey, you guys remember when...
Did you see anything you liked from it?
No, I didn't, but I will point out though, so we're recording this on June 14th, and yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of them announcing Metroid Prime 4, and then it never being heard from again.
Crickets.
Yep.
It got you to buy a Switch though, didn't it?
No, I already had it, but I was excited. They got me to be excited, and then, crickets, 3 years in development hell. We'll see if we'll ever get it at this point. I feel like they're gonna really...
I heard very recently they had to restart development on it. Because the
That
design
was in
going,
January, I think. Yeah,
going
they
anywhere.
decided that the studio that was working on it did a shitty job, and Nintendo wanted to start from scratch and give it to another studio. I think they give it to Retro Studios now. Doug, do you have your story pulled up?
I do.
Okay, well, you could have interrupted that at any moment. You must be sitting there
No,
with
I'm not going to interrupt your guys' show.
That's okay, Doug. You know, my house is your house. My
That was
show is your
polite.
show. Go ahead.
Mikasa Sukasa.
All right, so this is a story that I wrote after a softball game. It is I wrote it in my view of what happened, and then I wrote it in my daughter's view of what happened. All right, so the name of the story is My View of It.
That's pretty inventive.
Okay, fuckers, I never said I was a good writer.
Hey,
Yeah, let's not roast him just yet.
we were laughing at a love.
So I was reading through this, and I'm like, okay, so Jackson's gonna interrupt me here.
I'm not going to say a word, Doug.
Okay. The sweat dripped from my forehead and into my eye. It felt as though one of those wrestlers from years ago threw something blinding concoction at me in the hopes that I would miss my chance at fulfilling my destiny. I knew that this was going to be tough, but I also knew if I didn't do it now, all hope would be lost. I was standing on third base facing my opponent. There was already 2 outs, and if I misjudged this by so much as a fraction of a second, the game and my hopes of going pro would be over. I locked eyes with the catcher who had the ball in the cocked position. I smirked. It was a classic standoff. The catcher slowly started walking towards me, daring me to take my foot off the bag. Like a scene from an old John Wayne movie, I swaggered towards home plate. Throw him out, it came from the stands. The ball rocketed towards me like it was fired from the deck gun of a World War II battleship. I dug my shoes in the dirt and pushed off. The ball flew past my head with the whizzing sound of 1,000 hornets. I was sprinting with everything that I had. I heard the crowd get on their feet. The roar from the fans was drowned out only by my heart thumping in my ears. I was bearing down on that poor catcher like a runaway locomotive. If I so much as thought I saw anything that resembled a ball land in that catcher's glove, I was going to lower my right shoulder just enough so that to connect right under the mask that is supposed to protect this particular player. I am guessing I probably could have gotten at least 3 teeth out and even more loose if I connected as I had planned. As fate would have it, there would be no dentist appointments needed this day. I heard a couple people screaming behind me and knew that the moment was at hand. I had to make a choice. Do I try and knock the ball loose, or do I take my chances and slide home? As I went down, I felt the dirt and rocks and sand start peeling away my skin. This was going to be bad. The pain was intense. The crowd was going crazy, and I was already losing blood. I slid into home plate, and as the dust settled and the blood ran into the dirt, I heard the voice from above scream, "Safe!" I got to my feet and waited for what I knew was coming. My teammates were going to dump the obligatory bucket of Gatorade on me and then hoist me up in celebration. So that's the first part. The second part is the view from first base. I was watching my father try to catch his breath after jogging to third base. We were playing in a father-daughter game of softball that was to be followed by a cookout.
Aw.
There were about 5 dads that showed up along with my brother and a few random kids. My dad was starting to head home when the catcher, one of my 14-year-old teammates, lobbed the ball towards third base. The third baseman missed the catch and fumbled around for a few seconds trying to pick up the ball. I noticed my dad was nearing home when he went down. It looked like he was trying to slide or something. I didn't understand why, because by the time the third baseman picked up the ball and tossed it to second, he could have just walked across the plate. Anyway, he went down pretty hard and made a whimpering sound no daughter wants to hear her dad make. I think we won, or they won. I'm not sure. It was just for fun. The food wasn't bad either.
So that first part of the story, is that your daughter's thoughts? Like supposed to be her thoughts?
Oh, that's his.
The first part was my thought. The second part was my daughter's thought.
Oh, okay.
How did you not get that?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's just 2 different perspectives.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
different.
and I was a little confused on which one was Doug's perspective.
The one that doesn't sound like a child.
Well,
Yeah, the second perspective is talking about her father
yeah, that makes sense now.
specifically. So, was this a diary? Did you do this?
No, like I said, that story actually happened. I was playing a father-daughter softball game with my daughter, and I slid home, and I tore my leg up, and I was sitting there, and I thought that this would be a funny story to tell from my view of it and my daughter's view of it.
How much do you write? Do you write like common events that you go through? Like, it sounded like a diary kind of thing.
I don't write nearly as often as I used to, but if something that I think is funny or humorous in any way pops into my head, I'll jot it down. Yeah.
It's pretty cute you wrote that about your daughter, though. So, do I make any
That is
guest
adorable.
appearances in your stories?
No, guy, that would be fan fiction.
I'm still a bit
Doug
insulted
is
now.
above that. Well, it's no Nutty Noodle Man, but it's not bad.
Would you like to hear one Nutty Noodle Man, Doug? Just as a comparison point?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
Just to compare writing styles.
I do imagine you're going to feel a little silly after hearing this and comparing it to your own writing.
Yeah,
I
try not
found-
to be jealous.
I did find all 4 chapters of Nutty Noodle Man versus the Army of Armadillos, though.
Okay.
I just don't know if I want to read all 4 of those today. I was going to look for something a little shorter.
Is there any Nutty Noodle Man visits like baseball or anything?
I was big into sports, so I wouldn't be surprised if I had Nutty in like a sports situation. But not in my folders here, I can't find anything with sports.
It's a shame.
Oh, go. What are you
Okay, so
shuffling
I think-
around still? Let's hear it.
Yeah,
because I didn't want to read 4
you were
chapters.
meant to be doing this the entire time.
Well, I didn't want to read 4 chapters, so instead I'll read a shorter one here.
Okay.
This one is only 3. Okay. Nutty Noodle. What, did I already do this one?
Jesus Christ.
Did I read you the one about Barda?
I don't think so.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. Nutty Noo-
Just start!
Wait, what is
Jesus! This is like a fucking Dragon Ball Z
Jesus Christ.
episode.
Doug, can you do it for us?
Yeah, I feel like I've done this one though. Nutty Noodle is a regular noodle living in Noodle Land. Nutty is a very unusual noodle. He's a little devil and a piece of crap and has 2 friends named Appendix and Bird Brain.
Yeah, you
I
did.
definitely read this one.
Yeah.
Maybe they all start off the same.
That's
Like your
possible
last
because
time on Nutty Noodle Man.
yeah, because it does go into something different here. So then, yeah, Appendix came from eBay. Don't know where Bird Brain came from. Authorities and FBI still trying to figure out mystery. To sing a song that goes like this: Who's an evil monkey? I am. Who's going to get all 3 silver bananas? I, Sam. I, Sam. It loud, say it clear so I can hear you. He sang it over and over again and wouldn't stop until a monkey officer said, "Shut up, you idiot." Barda replied angrily, "Who are you calling an idiot, you freak?" and kept calling each other names until once again, "Shut up, just push me out of this banana blast vessel," which goes 200 miles per minute. So he did. He tumbled like a bucket, falling out of that speeding Veek, going 200 miles per minute. While the monkey officer was tumbling like a bucket that got dropped out of that speeding banana blast, Barda was so mad he hit the radio with all his might, and then he caught the car on fire and walked pretty slow out of the flames, and survived the fiery explosion. All he said was, "If these stupid sorry excuses for monkeys and try to be like me, I'm the best monkey in the world, not just in Banana Blast City," and did not speak for a long time. 2 hours. He thought his plan was very clever. He started setting up what he needed to escape from the monkey's magic jail. While Barda was planning to escape from Monkey's magic jail, not thinking about a thing, his brother Chip was feeling sad for Barda while he was feeling miserable in jail. He was thinking about him, Artemis, and Cornelius, were telling him that his brother was evil and pretty stupid, and a whole bunch of names like Rootin' Tootin' Raspberry, because of his pimples and even bad names. He felt upset at what his friends were calling his brother. Yes, he does have a lot of pimples and some of the bad names were true, but he was still upset, Chip thought. Artemis and Cornelius were up a little past 1 at night, thinking about where to look for the 3rd and last silver banana. They thought for an hour and a half. They thought so hard, and Finley agreed to start at Niagara Falls, behind the waterfall. They told Chip, and he thought they might be right. In the morning, Chip, Artemis, Cornelius, and Barda were planning to search for the last silver banana. That's where that story concludes. It's a cliffhanger.
Okay, so now after listening to both of those stories, both Charlie's and Doug's stories...
Makes you want to stop writing, huh, Doug?
No, yeah, so I was going to ask, Charlie, do you have any advice for Doug to reach his full potential?
I think the one thing that was missing from Doug's story that I was able to capture and excel at was making sure everything flows. I think Doug's kind of lacked purpose and cohesiveness, which is something that I always focused on with my narratives.
I just think your vernacular was more colorful.
Yeah, I also
it made it more impactful.
Yeah, Doug didn't even describe what kind of day it was at the softball game. Meanwhile, in my story, you not only know what kind of scenery you're dealing with, you know how long you've been there, you know
Yeah.
the time, day.
Plus, you went to Niagara Falls. Doug didn't even get off the pitch.
Doug?
All right, I'm back. Did I miss anything?
I thought you might have been face down on your desk throughout that. That's what was making me giggle.
I promise you, I was doing my best to stay with you guys.
Okay. What I like about both of you guys' readings is that both of you stutter and stumble reading your own stories that you yourselves wrote, as if it's just the first thing you ever saw.
Well, mine was written when I was like 6, and there's so many misspellings in it. It's hard to even know what I was talking about at the time.
So maybe it would have been a better exercise if we would have read each other's writings.
Oh, that would have
been
fun.
wild. I
Wanna
don't know if
do
you can
that now.
handle Nutty Noodle Man versus the Army of Armadillos, though. That's a real page turner. That's like not Gilgamesh, but something on that same level.
So I thought about recording one of my stories and then adding, the sound effects behind it and putting it out as not a bonus episode, just putting it out on the feed. I think you should do that with one of your stories, Charlie. As it's written, exactly. No cleaning up, just have somebody narrate it and then add the post-production into it, put it out there.
I think I'd rather hire someone from Fiverr to try and read it for me.
So
Yeah, hire Doug.
we've hired some people from Fiverr to do some shit for our show, and I would suggest you get somebody from India. That'll make it go so much better.
Nutty Noodle Man is a very complicated story, though. I think we're gonna have to find only the best from Fiverr.
Well, okay, I mean, somebody from India
Kevin Feige.
could still do it justice. Do we know do we know what Nutty Noodle Man and all of the characters look like, Charlie? Or are you gonna just retcon all of their races like J.K. Rowling 50 years after the fact?
Yeah.
Once you want to
actually
look
think-
woke on Twitter, you're gonna say that Nutty
I
Noodle
actually-
Man was black and trans.
I actually think I have a picture of him that I drew in this folder. I'll look real quick. Because I did draw pictures like Moon Ninja, he has a face, stuff like that. Like I did draw some of these characters. I just
By the way, thank
don't
you
know if I
to
have Nutty Noodle Man.
all the people sending me Moon Ninja fan art on Twitter. That was fun to see. Did you get those too, Charlie?
Yeah, that was fun to see.
Yeah. Here we go. I think I found a picture of Moon Ninja. Or it could just be Master Chief that I used my parents' photocopier for. In fact, I do believe it's just Master Chief action figure. It looks like you guys can't see it, but you can see it in the episode. It looks like
Yeah.
it looks like one of those ancient alien photos because there's like a little circle there, which I assume is a juice box stain. It's really interesting. In fact, it's dark, gritty, and it's definitely Master Chief.
It's so cute that your mum kept this for you.
Yeah, I'm glad she did. I would have been so upset if I couldn't find this again.
Doesn't your mom keep your pubes, Jackson?
Yeah, but I'm not happy about that.
Oh.
Wait,
That's
what?
not cute.
What?
No, so Doug.
Don't act like your
What-
mother's
what-
never taken your pubes.
Yeah, come on, Doug. This happens to every boy. How did your dad react when he discovered your first? pube?
Don't deflect.
My dad.
He asked you a question.
My dad didn't discover anything on my body. What?
You're telling me your parents
Well-
didn't inspect your body every night?
Nope, that didn't happen.
They didn't pluck your tender pube from your body and then staple it to the fridge.
It really
In a
sounds like
memorial
Jackson.
of your innocence.
It sounds like Jackson endured a whole different type of abuse as compared to me.
No. It's something to be proud of, really.
So
It was my first big boy growth.
I thought this
don't
was a
know.
joke. Does she actually have your pube?
No, she doesn't still have my pube. It was just a joke when like the first pube was grown, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then she, well, no, she didn't, but I plucked it off, and then she took it and what do you call it? Sticky taped it to the fridge.
So it's not a joke. It did happen. It's the opposite of a joke. It's real.
It's like, haha,
Oh,
my
pretty
little
cool
boy is a
prank,
man now. Haha, you want me to teach you some tricks? That would be funny.
All right. She didn't see anything. She didn't see anything unnecessary. I plucked it myself.
If she taped your pube to the fridge, she definitely seen something that was unnecessary.
It's hearsay, conjecture.
How long was that pube?
It's from you. You're the one telling the story.
How long is the pube that you could pluck it and then tape it to the fridge where it would just be visible? There couldn't have just been a stubble.
Hey, people take children's foreskin and like stick it in scrapbooks and stuff.
What?
No, they don't.
That's fun.
Who?
I've never
No,
heard
they
of
don't.
that.
Yeah.
Was that just me as well? I've been misled again.
I feel like you had a different childhood, man. You're about to tell us, like, you guys didn't get your, like, turning 8 commemorative butt plug that your daddy puts in you?
You didn't have your dinky skin kept in a scrapbook?
Yeah, your mom didn't bite it off? Wait.
She made a ring out of it, didn't she? And she used your fucking pubes, pressed them into like a little fucking diamond with your foreskin ring.
Don't give her ideas. There's still time, Doug.
Oh, hang
That's
on.
like Ed Gein shit.
This is what I should have done from the start. Just give Doug material to rip on Jackson. Doug, did you know that Jackson's mom sent him porn?
Well, that's so fucking weird. What kind of porn is it? This is important.
It's you know the boomer like Facebook memes and shit. That's what she sends.
Yeah, sure.
Like a guy's cock painted as an Easter bunny for Easter.
That is not Facebook boomer memes.
That's all they do on Facebook, Doug. It's just cock photos.
Do you even go on Facebook? It's all you see when you go on there. And like full on HD squirting porn.
That's not.
You ever see that?
That's not fucking Facebook. Are you thinking of 4chan?
Your mom sends
know
you
where she
scat play.
frequents.
Your mom sends you
Yeah.
pictures of scat, and you're like, "Oh yeah, just boomer stuff." You know, this is normal.
Yeah, look, Merry Christmas to you too, Mom.
You literally said she once sent you
Yeah,
a
it's
video of a
wild.
man sticking his entire bald head in a woman's vagina.
I mean, that was just impressive.
That does sound impressive though. Like I could see why she'd send that.
You wouldn't want your mom sending you that if it existed?
No, not like with the caption of, "Eh, haha, look at this, amazing, right? I wonder if I could do that. Want to shave your head?"
Did she send that
Well,
to you?
yeah.
Jackson, how old were you when
Kai
your
must be
mom?
reading my messages.
How old were you when your mom quit bathing you?
Bathing me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, like 6. Probably younger.
Yeah,
I mean, a pretty normal amount of time. They're just people with good senses of humor, Doug. You don't get it.
yeah, you're right. My sense of humor doesn't line up with incest.
Amateur.
Hey, you're lost, man. I mean, yuck, no,
So,
not about
so
incest.
Doug, if you came home and you saw that your wife had taped your children's pubes to the fridge, what would you say?
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a
probably-
pretty good reaction. That's an impressive pube.
So I have to assume that you can't jump from where my life currently is to walking into that situation. I'm more curious about all the different things that you don't know about that's happened to him or around him that he just thinks is normal.
He once got a hand job from a...
No, I've had a pretty normal life.
No. Okay, so Jackson's brother once got a hand job from a crab. That actually happened.
Does that
To
excite you?
completion?
No. So I walked in on him naked. He was like 8 or so. He was naked on a bed with his legs kind of like not spread, but kind of separated, but with the soles of his feet still touching. So it was like a diamond. It was like a baseball field made out of his
I'm
legs.
familiar with the position. Go ahead.
Okay, good. And so he had a hermit crab down there in between. Like he was using his legs as like a enclosure for the hermit crab, I guess.
It's so, like, who the fuck has a hermit crab on their bed? Just regular perverts use their dog or something.
It was a hot day. He was 8 years old. It wasn't sexual. It was a hot day. That's why he was naked. It was Australia, so we had hermit crabs. So it was on the bed, and then he must have fallen asleep or moved his eyes somewhere else. And in that time period, the hermit crab latched onto his penis, and not latched on in a nice way, not like a hand job like Kai is saying, like actually like a Prince Albert, like pinching the tip of the cock.
Jackson,
kind of
like,
shit.
he must have fallen
he was running
asleep.
around
Makes it
screaming.
sound like the classic. Oh, I slipped and fell dick first into that woman, honey. I swear I wasn't sleeping with her.
Hey, well, you guys are making fun of my brother. In my opinion, that hermit crab's a sex offender.
So when you walked in, was your brother hard?
I didn't look at his cock.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Anybody that has pubes taped up to their fridge looks at a cock when they have the chance.
No, it wasn't hard. I don't think you could possibly get hard in that situation.
So what I'm trying to, there's several flaws in your story. It
was 20 years ago. Leave me alone.
Well, but you're
ago.
telling it now. So you were able to perfectly describe the shape of his legs as you walked in.
No, I'm
sure
like
that
the position he was in.
Your gaze started out at his ankle and slowly worked up his calf, up his thigh to the peak of the diamond when you watched the crab finish him off.
Yep, you must have been there, Doug.
Okay, we have to wrap up soon. So last story, Jackson, tell Doug about your neighbors putting you and a bunch of other children in the neighborhood naked in dumpsters.
What? My neighbors didn't have anything to do with it. That was purely us as like neighborhood kids. Like we would, I mean, there's not much of a story there. We just got naked and sat in bins. What do you want me to say?
Dumpster bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, bins is
Yeah, like,
dumpster in Australia language, Doug.
Yeah. Except it's not as disgusting as it sounds, Doug. It was on a farm, so it was like in a bin reserved for like chicken feed. So we were just sitting naked.
Yeah, that makes it less disgusting.
I mean, it's not like, trash. It's just food that chickens eat.
Okay, so
Seed.
We talk about a lot of things on this podcast, but there's something that I need to make sure that we all talk about right now. Because if you haven't heard about Anchor, then you need to know about the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free.
bin.
No. I think it was just maybe more. No, it was just kind of like interesting. It's like when kids play doctor, it was that kind of thing, but with the added, like my doctor clinic was inside the bin, I guess.
Okay.
So to play doctor, we would get into the bin.
Chicken feed.
Okay,
bin.
so you were just looking for privacy.
I was what?
Looking for privacy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if you have HEPA laws or anything in Australia, but I assume that's what it had to do with.
What's is that like a doctor confidentiality?
Yeah,
thing?
Privacy laws for medical checkups,
yeah.
whatnot.
Well, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, there were forms that needed to be signed.
How many of you would be in a bin?
Yeah.
I think, no, only 2 in a bin at a time. That was a very strict rule we had.
Okay.
Okay.
Were you in a bin
didn't have
with
the
a
room.
boy or a girl?
A girl, of course.
Okay, so it sounds like you knew what you were
course.
doing.
Potentially. I mean, there was no, like, sex or... It was playing doctor. You know what playing doctor is, right? It's like when you look at each other's...
Yeah, it's a precursor to sex.
Oh, no, you don't.
What the fuck? Fucking 19 years old, let's play doctor.
No, you're telling me that when everybody went through something like that.
Yeah,
You
like
weren't-
some kind of interest in the other gender, or
Yes,
like
yes.
what's down there kind of thing. It was that.
Yeah, that exactly. that you're enforcing what I said. It wasn't innocent. You
I
knew
enforced it.
because it had sexual connotations to it. It had.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
well, maybe I don't know. I can't
There's no
get in the
maybe.
mind of like I can't get in the mind of like a 7-year. I don't remember what my intentions were, or any of our intentions were back when we were 7.
Well,
I'm
okay,
just kind of like
I feel like I remember you said
you
that
can.
your dad or one of your
You've already exposed
neighbors
your-
put you up to this.
what? No.
You've already exposed yourself as to knowing why you were doing it. When I asked, was it you or a boy or you and a girl? And you said a girl, of course, meaning that you knew that you were straight and you didn't have any interest in seeing the little wiener of another boy, right?
No, I already knew what a wiener was. So I could just look at myself.
He saw plenty.
So I'm taking your side in this, and you're still being fucking argumentative. You're impossible.
Well, I'm just saying, I
You
could see
fucking
penis
child
at
molested
any time.
motherfucker. Just get in the dumpster with the.
Whoa. That's kind of mean.
I take it back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's not a molester. He got molested. There's a difference.
Yeah.
He's a victim.
You don't know what happened in those bins. But that's my stories for the day.
Yep.
Or my stories that I'm revisiting.
All right, Doug, I hope that gives you some material. Yeah.
What, do you think I'm going to
You
close my
guys-
eyes and think about this later?
I didn't mean for your spank bank. I meant like for the next time you're on to rip on Jackson. This isn't for your enjoyment.
So for some reason, I am going to make it my life's work, or at least for the next 3 minutes, to clear the air between me and Jackson.
All right, fine. Fuck it. You got 3 minutes.
I'm going to make it my life's goal to completely disregard anything you say to me in the next 3 minutes, Doug.
Go.
I'm out. I'm done. Fuck him.
That was pretty weak. What did you look at Jackson's ears and give up immediately?
Oh, I just kind of thought to myself that I have no interest in associating myself with somebody that plays with kids in dumpsters.
That's
Just
fair.
not something that
Again,
wanna
I
do.
was also a kid. Let's make sure that we get all the information on the table.
So if I take everything that I've learned about Jackson in this episode, okay, yeah. So you've got some ammunition against me. He paints. He plants flowers. I didn't even talk about the gardening. And then everything I've learned about you.
Disgusting stuff.
Your mom sexualized you at a very young age. You hang out with little kids in dumpsters naked.
Again, I was a kid, yes.
Yeah, but it's still true, right?
You're
But yeah, but you're
Okay,
slandering a
just
child.
leave it at that then.
You're
I'm not
slandering
judging.
a child.
I'm not judging. Just
your brother.
things in Australia are a little different.
I think you're a monster. You're slandering a child.
The things that happen in Australia are just a little different than here.
You
It's
also
fine.
forgot that
I don't.
his brother pays crustacean prostitutes, and then pretends that he just fell into that situation asleep.
So now you're
So-
putting the sins of another on my shoulders. I didn't fuck with crabs or crustaceans of any kind.
No, but you sat there
or
and watched
description.
somebody do it. That's just as
No,
bad.
I helped my brother. I heard the screams of anguish and came in to assist the declawing.
Wait,
Did you use your mouth
assisted?
to get the crab off of him?
No, I meant like I came in to see what was happening.
So you didn't
Oh no,
assistance.
what's going on in here?
Yeah, if you heard screaming, then yeah, I'm sure you would stay out
So
of that.
did you just sit there and watch him and laugh as he was getting circumcised by a crab?
Fuck yeah, it was pretty fucking funny.
Does he have scars? Do
Put
you
yourself
check?
in my situation.
I don't wanna.
No, I don't know.
All right, enough of this.
All these years of playing doctor has finally paid off. I get to do some surgery.
My days in the bin.
Let me kiss your boo boo.
I'm gonna need. Hey, come here, brother. I'm gonna need you to step into my office.
Points into a fucking chicken feeder.
As
Make sure you strip down.
Just a pig
as
trough.
always, we got to check your prostate before we go any further.
All right.
All right, Doug. I want to clear the air with you, Doug.
We have 45 seconds left.
This is gonna sound really lame, but I do really enjoy your company, Doug, and I don't mean to be negative towards you. You're a good guy, and I don't know what else to say, Doug. Apart from I'm sorry.
Thank you.
As consolation for the injustices I've dealt you, please shout out your stuff.
Come over to who'srightpodcast.com. I think that Jackson is lined up to come on our show here in the next couple weeks, so that should be fun.
Yeah.
Did you say no?
I don't realistically ever see that happening.
Wow, that is pretty mean.
You son of a bitch.
Why
Yeah,
not?
that was a good approach from Doug though. Put him on the spot. Now
Yeah.
Jackson looks like the bad guy. Nice.
Doug,
Well, we'll
you're
see.
actually recording later
I
today,
have a very
right?
busy schedule.
Yeah, we're just doing something for YouTube. We won't put this out on the feed, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, Jackson's ready for you whenever you like.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you want, Doug. You just message me, and I'll reply.
All right, I look forward to your reply.
This is so awkward.
All right. Did you shout out your stuff? I zoned out.
Hey, can you make sure your editor puts the fucking links in the thing this time?
I might pass along the message. We'll see. Oh, I did it on the Patreon episode. What do you want from me?
I want you to make sure your editor puts the links in the shit this time.
It's Jackson that puts the links
I thought it was
there.
pretty clear.
It's kind of yeah, that damn editor, right? All right, thanks everyone.
Kaya, have you been
Patreon.com
lying to me this whole time?
Patreon.com/the official podcast, a bonus episode.
Before YouTube was really big, and at one point they had a segment called "Things You Can't Do," and
So